inspiring words. So next, we will enjoy a dance performance by Ms. Asmita Satapathy. And after the dance, we will hear from the in-person remarks from our dear friends here. And then we will do the trivia after the in-person remarks. So just as a slight notice, the winners of the trivias will get some wonderful gifts as a souvenir for the night here. So next we will enjoy the dance performance.
सीता है लक्ष्मी तू, है शीतल तू, है अग्नि तू, तेरे पाँव में है तीनों लोक, है औरत खुद ही भक्ति तू। शक्ति का स्वरूप है नारी, माँ दुर्गा का अभिरूप है नारी, कमजोर न समझो इसे, काली का दूसरा रूप है नारी।
She was in my class last semester and also a member of Infinity Lions Club.
Great, this was an impressive dance performance. Now we are going to take remarks from some of the friends and colleagues of Suresh. I will start with Homin here. I give microphone to Homin.
Thank you. I'm Homin Yan, and I'm first PhD student of Suresh Sethi. And because of this morning, when I look at David's literary, everything asked ChatGPT, so I did ChatGPT as well, and to see if it's really the first student of the Suresh Sethi. After a few prompts, if you don't believe it, you can try it. And there are some genuine, the first student of Suresh Sethi. And I'm here to some extent. Our hand is to celebrate, 80 years of the birthday of the Suresh Sethi, and on the other hand, and I'm having this opportunity to tell a very little story about myself with Suresh Sethi. I went to University of Toronto 88, and I think at that time Suresh managed to set up a PhD program, and he also married Andrea. So in certain way, what I'm trying to say, on the hand, he's built his own family, but on the other hand, he's built an academic family as well. And since I was a Suresh PhD student, and he was my mentor when I was a PhD program. He taught me quite a number of the things, and I still remember some, Suresh is very much outgoing, easy talk to person, but sometimes he's insistent. For example, when I take courses, he says, go to a statistics department to take a 2 semester probability course, and that is good for you for your 20 years. So I, took his, advice. I went to statistical department, go through with the statistical PhDs, and to take a 2 semester probability.
Did the same to Annabelle.
Oh, you did the same thing. Okay. And after graduation, before I finished my PhD program, the Chinese University of Hong Kong gave me the offer, and I happened to start to search jobs in North America. I do not know what to do, and I asked the Suresh. That time it was 93, 94, 92. It wasn't a good time, and he says took that job. So I listened to him. I went to Hong Kong and I took my first job in the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And go through his sort of speech. He knows academics. He's interested in publish and research. And that thing has been influenced me for quite some time. 2010, and I talked to him. I said, okay, and there's a possibility I can become a dean, and they're looking for candidate. And I talked to him, asked him for advice, because I thought, he might say, no, don't do this, don't do that, and research is more important. On the contrary, he says you should try, you should take this position. I said, why? And to a certain extent, at that time, probably, lots of the Indians has been business school deans, and he probably are doing quite a number of them. But probably more importantly, that was the Hassan Pico. He said, look, over the years, Hassan made the UTD in such a good school, and he probably tried to do a good job following the Hassan's example. So I was the dean at the City University of Hong Kong for 80 years. I think I managed the expectation. Hassan is also here, and the CTU research-wise was quite good, at least when I was at the deanship. So you mentioned you came to UTD. That decision was made in Hong Kong, and so I had a little contribution on this regarding, because at least I provided a room and a telephone so we can communicate with the UTD at that time. By the way, since I became a Suresh student, and I mentioned he was married at that time. I have 2 boys, and he has 2 daughters. And boys and my boys and get along very well with his daughter. And sometimes I try to tell my sons we are doing a good job. They always say, ooh, to a certain extent, may not believe what I said. My second son went to CMU, and his dean was John Husky. And I told him, I say, John was the Suresh's co-author. And after 2 years, and he didn't choose a major. He was in economics, but he decided he wants to go to a math department, go with that computational finance. The computational finance at the theory only take 10 students. And that was totally funded by Steve Shreve. And I also put him, okay, I said Steve Shreve is also a strategist co-author. He started to pay attention on what I'm saying. And the other day, I talked to him and he says, what is, lives presently, what you are, listening, what you are, what is the professor teach you? Oh, today we learned the Ben-Sultan theory. And I told him, okay, Ben-Sultan is working with the strategy and working with me as well. Start from that time, I earned the respect. Okay, we, since we have over 30, more than 30 years of collaboration, and we traveled in the United States. We went to quite a number of the places, and I saw some photos of which I'm familiar with, and to some extent, people said, we organized the meeting at the conference about 20 years ago. Suresh looks like, if you look at today's Suresh, more or less, he has not changed too much. And just morning I had conversation with Professor Uza. He says, okay, some people we are getting aged, and their health, change, sort of convex function, and the Suresh just like a concave. Stay like that word. Okay. Congratulations, Suresh, for your birthday, and thank you so much for your mentorship. And here we are celebrating your life and celebrating your achievements. I wish you a good health and continue.
Before he became the dean, every time I go to China, he will go with me. He knows exactly what I can eat, what I cannot eat, where I can go. He was my, always with me. Then he became the dean, guess what? Then he cannot go to China with me every time I'm in China. So that is the cost of the deanship. There's something called price of fairness. There's a price of deanship as well.
Thank you all so much for these remarks. Now I will pick up some remarks from the audience, starting with Alexander there. There is a microphone actually next to you. Just turn the hand to yourself. It's fine.
Sorry. I'll be short. Dear Suresh, I'm here. I know you more than 30 years. The first time we met in a team of Jean-Marie Prout, I was research on a team who was invited professor. Then we participated at many conferences together. I remember the conference in Siberia. You remember?
Yes, I was the one who swam there 2 seconds each time. Maybe it was 10 seconds.
Near the Baikal. And this was fantastic place, interesting conference. And one day we visited the city. I was very tired. But Suresh said, no, we will go see this. We think we will go see the church. I was very tired. I remember also recently in 2015, I was invited professor in Beijing, in the University of Chinese Academy of Science. And but a colleague from Polytechnical University of Beijing invited me to give a talk for PhD students. I give my talk, and then they invited me for lunch. Decided it will be fantastic lunch. It's the best restaurant of Beijing. I have in a restaurant with my Chinese colleague, I see Suresh in the same restaurant. So we take lunch together. It was fantastic. So, congratulations, Suresh. I hope to see you again and again at the conferences. You was activement, you are activement technical committee of IFAC. I was chair of this committee. You are active member of editorial board of research. Thank you very much. So many new discussion, new conferences, new research results. Happy birthday from me and from all French colleagues, because I am French. I know you like France, so see you in France. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Alexander. Now I have Mary Schneider. She will make some remarks.
I guess it's not good evening, but late evening, and we are very happy to wish Suresh a happy birthday. Most of you are gathered here from the academic side. We're not family, but we're family. We have been intertwined in our families for nearly 3 decades. Anjali and our daughter, Emily, grew up together, and she's mine. As much as she's Andrea's, not really, but you know. And likewise, Andrea is our daughter. So, a perspective from the side you don't see about Suresh.
We are so honored to be here today to celebrate you, our dearest friend, neighbor, person we enjoy sharing the hopes for and the results of life adventures with, supplier of DIY home repair projects for us to bond over, basically a co-parent to our children, and truly family.
It all began many years ago at the apartments on Preston where our paths first crossed. Who could have imagined then the lifelong friendship that took root the day our daughters, Anjali and Emily, first met? I'm sure Andrea also remembers how the girls, and of course we, became instant best friends. Chuck and Suresh also, it turned out, had so much in common, with common ground to talk about, which helped the friendship grow.
From attending after-school events together, talking while collecting the girls from their near daily playdates, and the occasional shared meals, early on our families moved in a rhythm. There was even a period of a few years where we planned a big portion of our weekend activities together, based around an extracurricular Chinese math school. Awesome. That was run by a colleague of Suresh's here at UTD. That program involved several hours rather early on weekend mornings, and then hours upon hours of getting the kids to complete extra homework packets. Thankfully, determination carried us all through.
Through the years, we have celebrated holidays together and included each of including our extended families whenever the chances arose. Thanksgiving stands out as one of my favorite Suresh Sethi traditions. And yes, Suresh Sethi traditions is just a thing that's been part of our life for a long time. I think they agree. For nearly 3 decades, we have almost yearly gathered together to give thanks and eat as much as we can. Early on, Thanksgiving was about the children, them dressing up as pilgrims and entertaining the adults with impromptu shows. As the years pass, Thanksgiving has become much more about the company and conversation. Suresh knows he can bring extra guests with only a moment's notice. I know he likes my traditional feast because we have happily hosted several of his visiting guests and grad students over the years, possibly some of y'all. My apologies that I don't recognize you. There have also been countless New Year's Eve toasts, the morning night for Andrea and I with the kids. Halloween trick-or-treating is another annual tradition. There have also been plenty of birthday celebrations for the kids, and also Chuck, Andrea, and I together. Suresh doesn't make much of a fuss about his birthdays this year, so it is perfectly reasonable that every once in a while he gets a whole conference.
Over the years, Suresh and I have had the time to talk together quite a bit. We talked about current events, things impacting our lives, career development, parenting, home repair, investing, politics, new technologies, retirement planning, insurance, and etc. Most notably, though, our conversations often center around either Suresh's plans for travel to upcoming conferences or sharing all the excitement and pictures from a visit he has just returned from. The insights Suresh shares regarding cultures and quality of life and fine cuisine and places I will likely never visit has been a gift. Knowing our daughters have traveled the world together because of Suresh's interest in travel and my interest in his experiences is priceless.
To be fair, much of our time together has focused on either Suresh's travel plans or things Andrea and I or the kids had planned. There have been a few rare circumstances where Chuck and Suresh needed a little extra consultation time, unrelated to the usual reasons we get together. Since tonight is about toasting or roasting, Suresh, you should know both these fine gentlemen got a bit squeamish a few years ago about the needing of cataract removal, about the same time. What commonly is a decision ophthalmologists wish their parents didn't fret over, and most don't. It became a professional grade research project.
Yes.
These two guys spent more hours researching all of the options that were available, and they even consulted with the same ophthalmologist just to make sure there was, scientific method in control of the research. Monumental is a word. Not everyone who would have or could have done so much research and put in so much thought, but these guys, it just shows how they think, and it's an example of why they have been good friends. I'm really grateful for that. That kind of mindset has driven both of our families, and it is made for friendship that will last not just our generation, but through our kids as well.
As Mary pointed out, that kindred mindset is at the heart of our friendship. So here's to Suresh, a friend we trust and can count on, someone we call family, someone who lives life to the fullest with passion, curiosity, and loyalty. Happy birthday, Suresh.
Thank you so much to Mary and Chuck. And I'm moving to Kathy. She needs no introduction.
Sticking with the family thing, I have a lot of memories and stories about family, but this is going to be a little bit academic. And I don't think people have noticed this. Let's see if Suresh remembers. You know how when we academics get a paper accepted for publication, we always have an acknowledgement. We usually thank the referees for what they've done and stuff. So the paper that Andrea Sethi mentioned, the paper that Suresh remembers, the paper that you mentioned, Andrea, Cal Single mentioned, 1990, highly cited, Sethi and Sethi, Andrea and Suresh paper. I was the editor that accepted that paper. And his acknowledgement, he wanted to, and he did, acknowledge the birth of his first child. Shut up. He wanted to put a picture in there. So anyway.
Complete the story. It so happens that we wanted to make the paper Sethi, Sethi, and Sethi. Because the paper was a joint product and the shutdown was a joint product. And so the editors agreed that the paper would be Sethi, Sethi, and Sethi. But somehow what happened is that the plates are already sent to Holland, because this is a Holland kind of thing. And in those days they couldn't really, they were not fast on their feet. So the consolation prize was that we were able to cite Chantal at the end of the paper saying, this is our other joint product as a part of our courtship. And there was a photo. But I still regret that it is not a Sethi Sethi. But that would be a unique co-author paper. But that didn't happen. Kathy was on board on that one too. But it's the publisher's decision. So thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Roy, who will be coming up.
Sure, and it's getting late at night, I think, so I'll just say a couple of quick things. So, Suresh does not know this. I'm not related to him. I didn't go to school, I'm not Jain, I didn't go to UTD, so why am I here? The story, I think he doesn't remember, is that I almost became his PhD student. You don't remember that. So, what happened was back in 1990, I applied for a PhD program. And I got a scholarship from University of Toronto. And I got a letter from Professor Suresh Sethi, and he said, well, no, you can be my PhD student. It's a very stupid reason why I didn't go there. One, because Toronto was very cold.
That's not stupid.
And it's not stupid, actually a very, very scientific reason. Number two, I was in a cold place, but that had beautiful mountains, Salt Lake City. So good skiing, outdoors, so why would you leave all that to go? And then third was, one of my professors there said that if you're going to go work with this professor in Toronto, you should read one of his papers. So I went to the library and bought a paper, I couldn't understand anything. So those are three reasons I couldn't become his PhD student back then. But then, much later in my career, about 10 years later, I was volunteer and doing little things at this association called POMS, Production Operation Management Society. I used to write newsletters, and that's where I met Kathy and I met Suresh. I never told this story because I didn't know how we react, so I never told the story. But anyway, at conferences we started seeing each other and so on, and I just want to tell you one or two human side of Suresh. So one of the POMS or Informs conference was in Arizona, and it was almost about 10 or 11 o'clock, and in Arizona at 10 o'clock at night it gets very cold. There was a big fire pit, and I was sitting there with a whole bunch of my PhD students, and Suresh comes in. And myself grew up in Asia, and a lot of my PhD students are Asian. And Suresh comes there and starts talking about a whole bunch of different things. And it's 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30. None of us can leave because the senior professor is there. So finally, my PhD students started getting sleepy, and they came and told me that, can you please take this senior professor and then go and have some coffee someplace, otherwise we cannot leave. But that's what happens. Suresh and Kathy, these are the two wildest poem operations professors after me. Right? And so any conference we go to, after that, we just have a great time, including when both of them actually came to Hanoi 2 years ago when I was there. And actually, another related story about human side of Suresh is that I said, Suresh, we can have you stay in a hotel. Hanoi has many hotels. So he said, don't you have a house there? I said, yes. Is it a big house? Do you have a spare room? I said, yes. So then why are you asking me to stay in a hotel? And so then I had a chance to host him at my place for about a week. There was nobody else there. It was just the two of us and a lady who used to come and take care of the house, and then Kathy. So I have many stories like that, and maybe sometime when we have had a little bit more wine, all of us, then I'll tell you. But in the meantime, happy birthday.
You give a response.
So this is the last one. Okay, so what I want to say, first of all, is that I just want to say a little bit about the people who spoke remotely. One of them, you saw an older woman, she's Mary Jane Becker. They were my host family in 1968. And they have stayed.
Is this Ganesha? No, the other one. Mary.
And so, not only as somebody said that it's not just, Amit said it's not just our generation, the next generation. My children have gone to that family without me. So So they are like their grandparents in some way. Big brother died some time ago. Mary Jane still lives, so she's in a nursing home. Kevin is my younger brother there in some sense. And that guy is a fly open and he's a skydiving. That guy and his wife, Sharon, they married while skydiving. The priest was also skydiving. Wow. They did formation like 100 people in the skydiving. He's one of those guys. They just go there and make formation. So they were there, and every time we go to Phoenix, we visit them. The girls went to Phoenix, they visit them. So I keep connections. Every time I go somewhere, I sometimes spend 1 extra day to just meet people that I know. So that's something I want to say. The other person you saw was Sushila. She spoke in our local language. Sushila is the mother of Pankaj and Arvind. Sushila is a wife of my nephew who unfortunately passed away at a young age. But she is now the oldest person from the Sethi family after me. She's nearly 70 plus, 75. And she's very good shape. And she doesn't speak English, but she can speak English if somebody practices. And also she spoke some in my local language, which is only very few now can speak, because that is the local language of 70 years ago, not because local language has changed after a while. But she spoke is like, we call it Khati Marwadi, means pure Marwadi that we were spoken from those days. So then there were some postdocs here. Rene Costa, you saw him, he forgot to tell him, we were on a beach in Bali, and we had a gala dinner on the beach. And I said, why are you having a party on the beach if nobody's swimming? So we decided to take our clothes off, and we had to swim anyway. So Rene and I went swimming, only two of us. So he's from Holland. So we went to swim, we still remember that period. So there are things that anyway, I can tell stories after stories, but it's getting late. I just want to say thank you for everybody. I'm so happy to have my big extended family here, and we're going to take some photos as we finish. Anybody else we want to take some photos with you, so please stick around to take some photos. And other than that, thank you very much. Sometimes I'm a single person because I spend a lot of time in France. So, people when they get married and you are single, after a while you don't see them because they have children. Anya being single, I stay alone, we go out a lot, eating together. Singles meet singles in some way. But once you are a couple, then they have another couple to meet. So anyway, all that, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, we have one more person to make remarks, and it is Sandun. Sandun, please come here very fast. He's going to make remarks from himself and from another colleague of ours.
I just want to also, Dorothy is not here, so I didn't see her, so we have to thank Dorothy very much because she was the one that and I am now a new secretary for some time now, and she's Kellen there, I see there. And I'm sure you received many emails from her, and she has organized this wonderful dinner here, and even though I'm not supposed to organize my own conference, sometimes I tell her to do privately. And then she figures out what to do. Oh yeah, so that's
Yeah, I was planning to skip it, but because of Australia's request, so I'm going to speak for a few minutes. So I think those of you know Australia was at UTD professor, and then he wanted to thank Suresh. I'm not going to read everything. I will read the last sentence. You have guided me every step on the way. I will always be thankful for your kindness, encouragement, and friendship. So he was planning to be here last week here.
he was my postdoc, and I brought him here.
I had two remarks. My part of the story, he's also from Sri Lanka.
Yes.
And he came to you as a postdoc, and I wanted to come to Suresh after my PhD in math as a postdoc, which was 2009. And he said, don't do a big postdoc with me right now. And I said, well, you know, you will never get a business school, so you should do a PhD in business. We just offered for 4 people, and I cannot get you in. I was like, get you in. And he said, you can come next week. So I went to Switzerland, University of Zurich PhD program in finance. Switzerland was not the place for us. I think I remember I went to Switzerland in August, and I called him in December that year. I said, I want to come back to this. He said, when do you want to come back? I said, January. So I think Switzerland was very difficult for my family, so I said, next month. So I can't get there next month. Hassan is not here, but he mentioned about like, we were talking to him about bringing in big mathematicians and all that, but I was a mathematician, and that's why he liked me, and I was controlling person, so it was a very soft place for controlling people. So I remember you spoke to Hassan and asked Kelly and Katya a special letter to bring me in the summer semester. So that's how I joined UTD. So not only he advised me to do a second PhD, he brought me in. So thank you. And this is just one story. I know more than, probably 10 stories like that. So he asked people to come in. When he liked somebody math skills, he just said, okay, come join our PhD program. So I think he has got many PhD students as well in faculty. So I would thank you for that. One last thing, I think I worked with Suresh on research. I have to talk about research if I talk about Suresh. So we published 2 survey articles in Form very recently. I think we had like 400 articles in that. And he was calling me every day. Even after the article was accepted, Kalyan said, Suresh, I invited you 20 years ago to write this article. I knew you could write A-level article, but you wrote a triple A-level article. And right after that email, Suresh told me like, oh, we need to improve that article. Oh. So he was never done. So I want to call him like Mr. Kaisan. Like, he wanted to continuously improve exactly what Kalyan said, you benchmark this yourself. Like he always benchmark you yesterday to today, and then you want to improve. I'm pretty sure, given the energy you have, and then how much you are kind of enjoying research, in 20 years you're going to call me that SS part is done. That's right, the outside testers of humanity. I know now full story, so I'm waiting for that quote. Will take 20 years from now, I know the way you're going, and I wish you, I think, all the best and a happy day.
Thank you, everyone. And we also have our colleague Chelia Srikandaraja's remarks on the screen. And in the meantime, I'm inviting Alan, or I can give you the phone, which would be microphone.
So I consider Suresh as a brother, a young brother, as a brother, really. Because, as I said in my presentation, he has done something for me which maybe he does not think himself how important it is to give a second life to somebody is an achievement which, of course, is beyond belief, and maybe he could not even himself realize. Of course, I thank the team who was there. And I want also to thank UTD because, and United States and Texas, because that's the only place where some opportunity exists at when you are 64 years old. And thanks to all these people who come, like Suresh, and bring so much to this country. And at the same time, bring other people, so it's a momentum. It's fantastic. I want also to say how much I've been pleased to see you again, Andrea, and your beautiful daughters. So beautiful.
Beauty comes from the heart.
No, from you. From you, of course. Okay, well, it has been a great party. A lot of people contributed. It's amazing how much you are able to attract friendship and gratitude.
Let me say one more thing that he skipped up. He was hired in a mango Thai restaurant in the presence of Hassan, me, and a little Anjali. She was sitting there, eating Thai food, and Hassan said, "How are you, Anjali?" She said, "I'm fine," and she's busy eating. I was babysitting her at that time, so she had to take her to the restaurant. And in the mango Thai restaurant, we hired Hassan. And after we hired him, I went to my office at home, and I said to the phone, I said, "You're hired, I don't do the salary, please call Hassan to do your salary." Yes. Now Hassan, being a carpet salesman, decided to give him math salary, not business salary. But then he realized, this guy is an important guy, so he's been trying to improve his salary every year a little bit. But anyway, this is the story. So, thank you again.
Thanks both Suresh and Alan. We have Anshuman here. He will make some remarks now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to keep you for long. Just very brief. I'm a former PhD student of Professor Sethi. The PhD part ended a number of years ago, but the studentship continues for life, is for me, because each time I meet him, see him in a conference or something, there's always something to learn. I would be model that I'm working, even though when he's not a co-author, any paper that I'm working, or some equally other important things, such as how to take better pictures on his smartphone, you can just see. There's always something to learn and gain from him. And I think I'm very fortunate and privileged to have him as a teacher, as a PhD supervisor, mentor. And as years have gone by, I have my appreciation for the privilege that I've had has increased, because the way I have learned from him over the years, I'm more and more privileged to have known him and learned from him. As a supervisor, he demanded very high standards in terms of quality, rigor, in whatever work you want to do, highest set of standards in terms of efforts that you have to put in, and the integrity of your work. And this is something that I always try to emulate for my own students as well. So I can say very safely, on behalf of all the other PhD students who couldn't be here, thank you very much for all your learnings. Happy birthday.
Anshuman, this takes us to the conclusion of tonight. We are concluded now. I just one remark. I learned a lot of things from Suresh. I still need to learn one thing, and that is who your doctor is. I want to look like you when I become 8 years old. So I will figure that out later on. On that note, we end, and academic program will continue tomorrow in the morning. For others, thanks for coming, staying, bearing with us. We made some mistakes you may have realized or may not have realized, but we did our best with my colleague Anyan. Thank you very much.
Thanks everybody. Have a good evening. Right? See you tomorrow.
Those who want to stay with pictures, my family is going to stay. We're going to take some pictures before we leave. So we're going to just go.